Welcome to Outlook Productivity Online, the new way of taking back control of your inbox, priorities, and focus. You may wonder if it's worth it all. Well, I can guarantee you that you can save 1 month every year, 40 minutes every single day, without having to work longer hours or learn new software. My name is Gerrit Kloete, a hard-working, lazy guy. I taught physics and maths a little bit. I love visiting Kirstenbosch in Cape Town, where I get a lot of lessons. That's why I call it KBU, Kirstenbosch University. And who knows, maybe one day I will study botany when I get older. I like the quote George Bernard Shaw that says, "I want to be thoroughly used up when I die." Like the green candle now, I want to be like that yellow candle you can see in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Used up the day I go away. This is Duncan, and quick introduction, Duncan.
Hi, I'm Duncan. I'm also a hardworking, lazy person. I love technology and how we can apply it into our everyday working environment. When I'm not facilitating, I'm mountain biking, and one thing mountain biking has taught me is to focus on where you want to go and not focus on the things that you want to avoid. I also come from an industrial engineering background, and I find this is very useful in implementing systems, some of them which we're going to take you through today.
I sometimes wonder what the biggest problem is that Outlook users have and why we have such a huge number of people coming to us to solve their problems. As a matter of fact, more than 12,000 people have knocked on our doors to be helped. Maybe the biggest problem is not knowing that you have a problem. I don't know if that rings with you. And the problem is really that every time we use Outlook, we lose time. Why? Because we're stuck in self-taught and inefficient habits. Email just keep piling up as a result because we don't have a system to deal with it. The word system is an interesting one. If you see it as an acronym, it's something that saves you stress, time, effort, money. People find it difficult to prioritize, especially today in a whirlwind of change. Interruptions and distractions are a problem. And most people don't know the shortcuts in Outlook that save them a lot of time. It's difficult to find information. The question is, what would it take to be significantly more productive while using Outlook and put 40 minutes back into your pocket every single day? All it takes is that you apply 4 principles. Top left-hand corner, you treat your inbox like a post box. You make your work visible and actionable. Be where you are and slow down to speed up. What Outlook Productivity Online is not, it's not just Outlook training. It's not e-learning, it's not group coaching, it's not a series of one-way lectures. What it is a proactive approach to be much more productive, using the tools you already have and already know and that the company has already invested in. We call the system Outlook Productivity Online. And all you need to get started are basic Outlook skills, a willingness to learn, that's quite important, 10 minutes a day to review and plan your work, and to invest time in building your production capacity. That's all. What is Outlook Productivity? What you will get today is an introduction to some of the Outlook shortcuts. Just cuts the time to do things. You will see how to handle email quickly, efficiently, and easily. To manage your workflow so things happen easier, faster, and better. And how to stay focused on your priorities. Another thing that I would like to introduce you today at the bottom of that screen is a transition from traditional in-classroom training to what is now the standard or becoming the standard of online training. So Duncan will take you through a couple of Outlook shortcuts.
Right, so the first set of shortcuts I want to take you through is how we can move between the different modules in Outlook. Most people use their mouse and click on the little calendar icon when they want to go to the calendar, or contacts, tasks, or even notes. A quick way is to use some keyboard shortcuts. Now these are very easy to remember and implement. If you look at the icons at the bottom there, the first icon, the mail icon, is icon number 1, calendar number 2, contacts number 3, tasks number 4, and notes number 5. So to move between them, say for example I want to go to mail, all I do is I use the keyboard shortcut Control and 1 because the mail is icon number 1. To go to calendar, I go Control and 2. Contacts will be Control and 3. Tasks, Control and 4. And notes, Control and 5. And to go back to mail, you can then go Control and 1. So moving between the different modules is very easy when you're using the keyboard shortcuts. The next set of shortcuts is how to create new items from anywhere within the Outlook environment. And what I mean by that is if I'm in my calendar and I want to create a new mail, I don't first have to go to the mail section. I can create a new email directly from the calendar. Now these keyboard shortcuts are just as easy to remember. Control, just as the first one, but now we're going to add a shift, which tells Outlook I want to create something new. Then the first letter of what you want. So if I want to create a new mail, I go Control, Shift and M for mail. To create a new appointment, Control, Shift and A for appointment. Contact will be Control, Shift, C. And unfortunately, as with everything, there's always one that doesn't follow the rule. And this is a task. If I want to create a new task, I don't use the first letter, but I use the last letter. So Control, Shift, K will create a new task. And finally, to create a new note, we go Control, Shift, and N. So this allows you to create any new items regardless of where you are within the Outlook environment, saving you a lot of time. Then the final one I want to take you through is one that I use quite a lot. If I want to create a new Office application, I go Control, Shift, and H for Office Home. And from here, I can open up an Excel spreadsheet, a new PowerPoint presentation, or a new Word document without having to use my mouse and click on all those little icons at the bottom or go and search in my search bar for the Office document I want to create. Next, we're going to eliminate Email Overwhelm. So now that we've got the keyboard shortcuts, let's deal with those high volumes of emails. And for that, we're going to apply Email Triage. We're going to create a finding system instead of a filing system. And I'm going to introduce you to some time-saving rules. Now, when we talk about Email Triage, triage stands for 3. And this is often applied in the medical field, where if you've got a lot of people coming into the hospital and you can't deal with them all at once, you need to put them into one of 3 categories. Category A, this person is going to die no matter what I do. Category B, this person is going to die if I don't do something. Or category C, I can deal with this person later. So we're essentially going to apply that same thought process to your inbox. And we're going to do that by creating 3 triage folders. An action folder for things that require action, a filing folder for things that I can file, and a trash folder, which you're all familiar with, to delete. Now, when we start dealing with email triage, we're going to apply the decision tree. Now, not to overwhelm you at first, we're only going to focus on the top section of this decision tree, and we're going to go up to file, act, or trash. So we're going to ask ourselves, what is it and is it relevant? Relevant to what? Relevant to your current priorities. What do I want to achieve for the day? What do I want to achieve for the week? And what do I want to achieve for the year? That will determine where your items need to go. Once you've determined whether it's relevant, what must I do with it? Now, you can only do one of 3 things with anything that comes into your life. You can file it, you can act on it, or you can trash it. And just a quick trick there. Filing is not hundreds of subfolders sitting under your inbox. We need to create a separate filing location, and we'll get into that when we deal with a finding system. So let's create a place where we can triage all those high volumes of emails coming into your system. So we apply the decision tree, and we're going to apply it to your inbox. And to do this, we're going to right click on your inbox, we're going to go new folder, and I'm going to call it at action. The at symbol tells me that there's something you need to do there, and it also groups all your action stuff together. I've also gone and created a few other ones that you might find useful. So I've created my filing one, and again, I no longer use subfolders. I have one place where I just dump all my filing things. Then I've created one called at read later. Now, I often receive a lot of information that I need to read through, but doesn't require any particular action. So what I do is I put those emails in my @read later. So when I'm in my down, low energy time during the course of the week, or if I'm traveling, I can then dip into that and I can get some of my reading done. So now that we've created those folders, let's go and create your triage system by introducing you to quick steps. Quick steps are essentially little macros that you can write for Outlook. So I can tell a quick step to do a whole bunch of actions with one click of a button. So to create them, we're going to click on that little down arrow where it says quick steps. We're going to go manage quick steps. Then we're going to go new and custom. Now for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to create the action one for you. So we're going to name it and I'm going to call it @action. There where it says choose action, click the down arrow and say move to folder. It will then ask you what folder to move it to, and I choose the folder and I choose the action folder that I created under my inbox. Then I click finish, and just to show you what the others will look like, so there I've created a filing one as well, which is essentially move to file, and I've also marked it as read. The trash one is just delete an email. And the reason I put it here as well is I don't want to have to move my mouse out of that section on top there to delete something. It's much quicker if my mouse stays within that quick steps folder. There's my read later as well as the action one that we've just created. So once we've created them, we can click OK and you'll see they're now sitting on the top there. Now how this is going to work, say I receive an email and I now want to process my inbox. I can then select the email. I can read it from the reading pane and I can then make the decision. And all I do is I left click on the action on top and it will then take that email and it will apply the steps that I've pre-programmed for that button. So @action is going to move that email to my action folder. Trash will delete it. Filing will send it to the filing system, and @read later will move it to my read later folder. So now that we've processed your inbox, you can now go to your action folder and now you can deal with the things that require your action. So we spoke about a finding system, and you'll recall that I said I do not use subfolders. I take all my information and I put it into one file and I use my search folders to find it. So let's take you through the steps of doing that. So we're going to go back to your inbox and then right at the bottom you'll see you've got a folder called search folders. Right click on it. We're going to go new search folder. That brings up another window and we're going to say find me all mail from and to specific people. Now this is very important where I mention that this is a virtual folder. This will not move the things from your current folders. What this will do is create a sort of filter that will show you everything in your system, the search criteria you're looking for. So in this case, it's going to show me all mail from and to specific people. I can then choose the person I want. Let's say Stuart Phillips. So I'm going to add him to the from, and I then click on OK. What happens now is once I click OK, Outlook is going to show me Stuart Phillips, and it will show me all emails on my system relating to Stuart Phillips. Emails I've sent to him, emails I've received from him, as well as any emails that he's been CC'd in on. If this is someone that I'm dealing with quite a lot, I can then take that search folder and I can then drag it into my favorites. So I'll have quick access to this information. So that is how you can use search folders to create a finding system and have one place where you just dump everything you want to keep and use the search folders to filter through it. Next, we want to eliminate email overwhelm. And we can do this by applying some very useful time-saving rules. And the first one is the CC mail rule. CC stands for courtesy copy. It's to keep you informed of what's happening in the background. CC is not for your action. If you send an email to someone and you want someone to do something for you, do not put that person's name in the CC section. Put it in the to section. CC is purely FYI. Now, I don't know about you, but I find that almost 50% of all emails that I receive on a daily basis are emails that I've been CC'd in on. So I like to separate those from my action stuff. So to do this, I'm going to create a new folder by right-clicking on my inbox, going new folder and calling it @ccmail. Once I've done that, I can go to the rules section and I can create a new rule that says apply this rule after a message arrives where my name is in the CC box and move it to the CCmail folder. So now, whenever I receive an email and my name's in the CC section, it will automatically move it to the CC folder. So now I can deal with stuff sent to me directly first, and I can then deal with the CC mail at a later stage. And I will generally process my CC mail once a day. Another useful rule is the waiting for. Now, in your current environment, say you send an email to someone requesting information. What system do you currently have in place to remind you of all the things people need to get back to you on stuff? Well, I use the waiting for rule to help me with this. So what's going to happen is the minute I send someone an email requesting information, I will send that person an email and I'll BCC myself. They will receive an email and an email will come straight back to me. I then set up a rule that says check all my incoming emails. The minute I receive an email from myself, take that email out of my inbox and move it into a folder called @waiting for. So now I've just got one place to go to find all information where people need to get back to me on stuff. So to set this up, again, just as the first one, we're going to go and create a folder. So right click on your inbox, new folder, and we're going to call it @waiting for. Once we've created it, we can go to the rules section and we can set up a rule that says apply this rule after messages arrive from, and then you use your own email address and move it to the waiting for folder. So once I've created this and I want to send someone a new email, I put that person's name in the to section. I then need to activate the BCC field by clicking options, and then there's a big button here that says BCC. Once that field's active, I can put my own email address in the BCC. I can put my content in the body, and I can then click on send. So what will happen is an email will come into my inbox, my rule will pick it up, and it'll drop it into my waiting for folder. So once a day, I click on my waiting for folder, and there's a list of all the things where people need to get back to me on stuff. This way, I'm no longer going to forget, and I can start playing all those little loops that were once open in my system.
Thank you, Duncan. The second strategy that we look at today is to make your work visible and actionable. It simply means that clarify your work so that you don't get stuck in doing things that you shouldn't be doing. And on the right hand side, you can see we can discuss three topics here: to clarify your priorities, to make informed decisions, and to manage all your actions in one place. Now, to clarify your priorities, just setting your priorities is probably the topic of totally a different course. So let's rather discuss today the importance of having priorities. Now, when you have rain on a mountain range, the mountain range acts as a watershed. Some water goes the one way and the other water goes the other way. This is the same function that your priorities have in your life, because if it doesn't go one way or the other way, all your work just gets one big puddle. So priorities actually then act like a watershed. It enables you to say yes to certain things in your life and to say no to other things in your life. Looking at it this way, if let's say that rectangle represents 24 hours a day, and you have your purpose or mission or values or priorities as a reference point, then you can make a decision to say, yes, I will do certain things that move me forward to that. And the things below that line that will not contribute to me reaching my priorities, we don't do them. They are not important. Now, just a thought about static and dynamic prioritizing. So we've got now the importance of priorities. So let's just see this idea. What does this mean? I'm quite sure that static prioritizing doesn't work. That means you sit down 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning, you look at your list of things to do, you prioritize them A1, A2, B1, B2, etc. But 99.99% of people, we ask the question, when last did a day work out exactly the way you planned it? Say, never. So that doesn't really work very well. Now, David Allen has written the book called Getting Things Done, and he has a very nice approach to dynamic prioritizing. And let's see how that works. You trust your intuition. The first question you need to consider is, where am I? If you want to buy bread, but you're not at the shop, that's a disqualifier. You can't do things where you are not at. So where am I? The first qualifying question. Then how much time do I have? I can be in the same place, but with 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 10 hours at my disposal, I may choose to do different things. I hope you agree with the thinking so far. The other thing is, what's my energy like? We all have an energy cycle during the course of a day. And if you know when you are in low energy, don't do high energy activities there. And then the fourth point is, what are your driving priorities right now? In your career, in your private life, etc. And when you take these four things into account, your gut will tell you, your intuition will tell you of what the most effective thing will be to do. So that's just some thoughts about dynamic versus static prioritizing. Now, making informed decisions, referring back to your priorities, that's an important tool to make your work visible and actionable. There's just something interesting about the word decide. It comes from two Latin words, which when you put them together means cut, and off is a decision. To decide literally means to cut off everything except the things that matter most to you. To help you decide what to do, we again use the decision tree, and let's go through it step by step. Duncan explained to you the first part, where you take anything coming, let's use email and other input. You then process it by asking a couple of questions. What is it? Is it relevant to my priorities? What must I do with it? File, action, or trash? The action stuff then gets processed further by 6 more questions. How big is this thing that just entered my life? How many actions do I need to complete it? 1 or more than 1? Whichever, you need to figure out what the next step is. Let's say my next step is to call Joe. Too many people stop thinking there. Just force yourself in the beginning to ask 4 more questions once you've identified the action. This is driving clarity and making your work visible. I must call Joe. Can I do it quickly? Less than 2 or 3 minutes? If so, do it and get it over and done with. If not, always ask a delegation question. Am I the only one that can do this? And I'd like to think that, we should only do what only we can do. Delegate or outsource the rest. If I cannot do it quickly, if I'm the only one that can do this, 2 questions remain. 1, is it date or time sensitive? If yes, follow the arrow to the left and down. Then the action call Joe must get managed in my calendar. If it's not date sensitive, just check the duration. Is it going to take longer than half an hour? Put it in the calendar as well. It becomes, you must make your work visible. Then everything else gets managed in your task. So day sensitive and long stuff to calendar, and everything else gets managed into your task. So that's the result of your thinking, of your decision making, is your work gets clarified and managed in one place, which is calendar and tasks. Great, so let's see how this works in your inbox. We apply the decision tree to your email. So let's say you have that first email from Stuart Phillips, and you look at it and you read it and you clarify the action, and the action is date sensitive, so you want to move it to the calendar. You just use your left mouse button, drag the email onto your calendar icon and see what happens. It creates a new calendar item. The content of the email is put into the calendar item, and you can then schedule the date and the time when you want to do this. Save and close, and you see that that appointment shows up in your calendar mapped to Magmatech. It may be that you have an email with attachments that you want to put in your calendar. In that case, the left mouse button drag will not work. You will lose the attachment and you will lose the integrity of the email. In that case, you do the drag and drop, but using your right mouse button. What then happens is you get a menu of options. Click the third one, for example, copy here as appointment with attachment. You'll see a new calendar item opens, and with the email as an attachment. When you save and close, You see the appointment in your calendar, and you can see there's an attachment on the inside. You can do exactly the same, drag and drop with left or right mouse buttons of an email to your tasks and manage your work in that way. So make your work visible and actionable, make informed decisions, and then manage the actions that come out of that thought process in your calendar or in your tasks. Now here's a thought, and I'm quite sure that many of you who are watching this recording have multiple lists where you keep track of your actions. Now how about having all of that in one place? Let's see how that is possible. The one place is actually one window in Outlook that contains the results of your thinking in one window that will contain calendar and tasks. There you have it. The big one is the calendar, and on the right hand side you see a collection of your tasks. Now how does this work? You click on View, To-Do bar, Tasks, and your tasks show up on the right hand side. And you can view your tasks on the same window as your calendar. So you have a summary of time-sensitive activities and also of things that are not date-sensitive and time-sensitive. The last thing we discuss as focus, the last strategy, is to focus, to get rid of distractions and interruptions, because that's one of the big things that people tell us that they struggle with. So the three items that we focus on here is to begin your day focused on your agenda, to understand, communicate, and protect your priorities, and to minimize distractions. So let me ask you, when you open your Outlook, which part of Outlook do you see first? Is it the calendar? Is it tasks? Or is it the inbox? Most people say they begin their day in the inbox. Now here's the question. In your inbox, whose agenda are you looking at? Yours or other people's? Most probably other people's. So why begin your day as a victim of what other people want you to do and not looking at your own priorities? So does this window not contain your priorities, your calendar combined with your tasks? So how do you get Outlook to open there? You click File, Options, Advanced, Browse, select Calendar, and click OK and OK. And then Outlook will open in this view in future. Many people tell us that this is such a small thing for them, but it makes such a big difference for them. So do it. You've got nothing to lose, and if for some reason you don't like it, just go back to beginning your day looking at what other people want you to do. The second item is to understand, communicate, and protect your priorities. And I really suggest that you use the calendar to do that. The calendar, I think, is the most underutilized communication tool in an organization. So I'm going to illustrate to you how you can block out your time and let people know that you don't want to be interrupted. You can do that by email, but you can also block out times in your calendar when you don't want to be interrupted. Now the NFZ that you see there is just an acronym for no-fly zone, which means that if you come to my office at that time, I will shoot you down. It is a no-fly zone. And one can also color code no-fly zones so that they show up in a certain color. So this is just a very easy way to communicate and protect your priorities. The other way of protecting your priorities, of course, is to use the word no. And by doing it this way, you're actually telling people, no, don't come and visit me in those times. The second item in focus is to minimize distractions. Now, why is this important? When you start working, your focus builds up, you work, and then something happens and your focus drops down to 0. This happens 60 times a day. You lose a half a minute every time. You lose an half an hour and you waste a half an hour a day. The question is, when do you catch that up again? Tonight or over the weekend? And Duncan will show you now how to minimize distractions using Outlook.
So the first thing we're going to do to minimize distractions is to switch off all those little pesky notifications that pop up in the bottom right hand corner of your screen. So to do that, we're going to click on File in the top left-hand corner, and then we're going to go down to Options. Once that window opens, we select Mail in the top left-hand corner, and then in the middle of that towards the bottom, you've got Message Arrival. When new message arrives, play a sound, briefly change the mouse pointer, show an envelope icon in the taskbar, and display desktop alert. We highly recommend you switch all of those off. Once you've done that, you can click on OK. And now when you're back in Outlook, you won't receive that little notification in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen.
Great, thanks Duncan. I'd like to share a few thoughts with you about the transition or the transformation between the previous way, which is in classroom training, and the new way of education, which is online. And how does it work? How can you get and use the tools to make Outlook productivity online work for you? I came across this quote over the weekend, and it makes such a lot of sense, and I think it's true. Education that's not online is on the line. Now, luckily, we can say to you that Outlook productivity is not on the line, it's online. And we are having great success with that. And I invite you to have a look into that with me over the next couple of weeks. This quote by Brandon Bastide in Forbes magazine is also, I think, true. He spoke to hundreds of CEOs and people in corporates and came to the conclusion that any education and training that can be done online will be done online always from this point forward. Why? It's faster, more effective, and less expensive, and employees widely prefer it too. So that being the case, how can you use Outlook productivity online in this environment? But first, let's ask a question. Is this change for real? I think so. These companies have all said that people can work from home. Microsoft, as a matter of fact, said that anybody who can work from home going forward can stay home and work from home forever. So it's for real. Now, to implement Outlook productivity online, there are three things that are important: content, support, and accountability. Let's just talk about each of them for a while. We have our online school of productivity where the content lives 24/7. And the content is delivered in bite-sized chunks when you need it, where you need it. On the left-hand side, you see the chapters of our full Outlook course. We are offering you to participate in a mini course at no cost for 2 weeks. It's free. And I will make sure that there's a link to the mini course towards the end of this recording. In the mini course, you have the content, there's the chapters, the structure, you have videos, mostly with Duncan, and let's go over to support. Why is it important that you support people who do online learning? Because it's been found that 85 to 95% of people who start an e-learning course all by themselves, without any support, fail to complete the course. And we don't want that. So I would rather not have a course online if it's only independent e-learning. We have it available, but I prefer not to. So that's why we created our support system. Most people still like the structure of a program. They want direct interaction with the facilitator. And how we do that, by the way, is, as you can see here, in the course content, in every single lesson. In the top right-hand corner, there's a button that says Discussions. And if you have a question, you just click on Discussions. Duncan and I get an email and we'll respond as soon as we possibly can. Most people still want interaction with fellow students. In the past, that happened in a classroom. Now it happens in a Zoom room. And I can guarantee you, you can look at the faces of these people, very happy people. We're having a lot of fun on these on the online workshops. Another part of the support is to keep your productivity swing going. When you do one of our courses, you get the swing going. But as with a normal swing, if you don't push it every now and then, it stops. Now, every 2 weeks, Duncan offers you a refresher webinar. or rather not a refresher webinar, it's a refresher meeting where people meet and it's more like a conversation than a webinar. But you will get invited to attend the online Outlook productivity refreshers every second week, Friday afternoon, 3 o'clock to 3:30. So that's our support system. Accountability, I can just say that when you have a very simple accountability system in place, it's much better than not having one. And what I offer you is, during the time that you do the free mini course, this will be for your action, to schedule 2 sessions with me for 15 minutes, or with Duncan for 15 minutes, accountability. And it's not to check up on you, it's just to see how you're doing, how can we help you, and what are your plans for the next session. And we'll do that on Zoom. So there you have it. Outlook Productivity Online, content available whenever you need it, support to help you succeed, and accountability to make it stick. Now you may wonder, okay, this is great, now what next? Let me just share with you some of the options that you can choose from to go ahead. You can do the independent self-study, although we don't really recommend that you go that route. The second bullet point you can see there is independent self-study plus 5 live online facilitator-led workshops. We do public courses, or if you have 10 or more people interested, we will do a private course just for you. So what next? You can get your free strategy session, and we will discuss how we can make things work for you. You'll have the link in a moment. And also you can get your free 14-day Outlook Productivity mini course. So what? Here's where we come from. Since 2013, our work has been accepted and appreciated in 12 countries. We have worked with 67 of South Africa's top 500 best managed companies, all in all 320 companies in South Africa and over the globe, and more than 12,000 people are relying on our system to keep them productive using Outlook. These are the companies that we typically work with. It doesn't have to be a huge, big company. We work with small companies, micro businesses, who typically enroll their people on our public courses. For bigger companies, we do private in-house courses. Let me just share with you 3 feedbacks that we have from our clients. Sheila Naidu, he's a general manager at the South African Sugar Association. Before they worked with us, their team situation was not organized, poor prioritizing. Then they found a significant improvement in planning and prioritizing. But what he really enjoyed was the simplicity of the tools, made for effortless adoption. And that's, well, you know me now as a hardworking, lazy person, so that's very good news for me. Professor Esther Friedrich from Central University of Technology, she enjoyed the hybrid program, which is purely a hybrid of the self-study and the groups. So she said that she got flexible time for self-study and practice, and also enjoyed the interactions with us. Khadi Sinyatsi from SAPO said to us that her team enjoyed the self-study supported by the online conversations. So that's what people find when they do Outlook online. The only question now is you have a decision to make, whether you are going to book a time with us and whether you're going to move ahead with a free course or not. And one is not right and the other one wrong. But keep in mind that whatever you decide, you cut off the other option. It's like this diagram. Past, present, future. If you look at the past section, there's a solid line and dashed lines. The dashed lines are simply opportunities or options that you did not select. The solid line is the way you chose to go. The future lies many of these opportunities and choices. You don't yet know. But today is very simple, really. Book time to talk with us. We'll discuss your strategy for going forward to get and stay even more productive, or you can do nothing. And as I said, one is not right and the other one is wrong. It's just that each choice has certain consequences. People who work with us find that they save 40 minutes a day, they have less stress, they're more clearly focused, their work-life balance improves, And the business that they work in also experiences that the investment that they've already made is leveraged. So, any questions you have, please drop us an email to me, Gerrit at 789.co.za.
Or at me, Duncan at 789.co.za.
We'd like to be your companions on your road to be much more productive with Outlook Online. Thank you for watching, and I hope our paths cross again soon.
Thank you very much, and goodbye.